So what we are doing here is to present the Safe.trAIN project. In opposite to your Confiance.ai, it is not built around multiple use cases, but just around one use case. And this use case is the Safe AI for driverless regional trains. It is funded by the German Ministry for Economics and Climate Action. So our motivation is also according to the decarbonization. We have to reduce this in order to get better approach to reduce the climate change. And in order to do so, the public transport must be more attractive. We have to increase the capacity that we have available, and this will be only solved if we increase the flexibility and comfort for the passengers. We have to reduce the costs in order to be really cost effective, and we have to improve the availability. And I want to show you how we can deal with this with a higher degree of automation in the railway domain. So in order to do so, I want to introduce to you the so-called grades of automation in the railway domain. It differs a little bit from the grade of automation definitions in the automotive industry. So we have there the manual operation, we have there the highly automated operation and the fully automated operation. And in our project we focus on the fully automated operation where we have no driver anymore available. The grade of automation 2, there the driver is available, but the most of the operation is done by the system, and this is the part that increases the capacity of the existing infrastructure. But a lot of changes are only possible if we replace the driver and we resolve the requirement that the driver has to be in the train. And that brings a lot of benefits. So the driver in the driverless train is not away. He's just in another position. And we put it to the lost and found, and we'll find him in the slides afterwards. And the major aspect that has to be handled if the driver is away, we have to detect obstacles on the track and dangerous situations that may cause hazard during the journey. And this is a requirement that is safety relevant, really of high relevance, because either the people in the train may be killed if there's a really big obstacle and so there comes to an accident, or even if persons on the track may be harmed because the train hits them. So it's according to the AI, it's a high-risk application. And what I said, we get a lot of benefits out of it. And because the system is taking over the observation of the track and avoids that we hit obstacles, and looks also for other possible hazards that may occur, we will reduce the amount of time from the driver to look on this. It's a long time of these things that the driver typically does, and that's dramatically reduced. And additionally, we reduce the time from the driver to get to the train and to get back from the train. And that's really a huge benefit, and we see also that breaking up the requirement that the driver is in the train also leads to much more flexibility according to the timetable design. And it's then also, for example, possible that you have a train that is built of several train sets, makes be broken up, and these train sets with the same energy consumptions can then drive independently in order to to get a more dense timetable and more frequent connections. So it has a big impact for all of us. And also in the operation, if some train is no more available, it is much faster to get an additional train inside, because not the train driver has to go to the depot, get in the train, get the train then in. You can just start then the train from the depot, bring it in and start operation. And that will bring a lot of benefit to get the operation in time schedule again after there was an incident. So here I want to address the aspect we have available, for example, in Nuremberg, a driverless metro. But this is driven in a very narrow, constrained environment. And if you open this environment, the complexity increases. So there, the mainline applications like the high-speed trains and regional trains, they are in a some more open environment. And then if you change towards the tramway, that's a really open environment. You have then also people on the track and so on. On the mainline regional trains, if somebody is on the track, he's typically not allowed to be there, or he's trained. And so the complexity to address a regional train is about in the middle. Okay, now here you see what has to happen on the land side, what happens on the train in order to introduce these driverless things. I just want to put your attendance to the right place. Here you see the remote driver. Here again, the driver is available. So typically, the train is driven in an automated way. And if something happens, then the remote driver can connect to the train and operate it then remotely. And that's the thing that really brings the big benefit. But as I said, it is a high-risk application, and in order to manage it, especially the detection of obstacles and potential hazards in a natural environment, it is at the moment, from our point of view, and I think it's also the general opinion in the domain, possible to resolve this aspect with AI. So we have safety requirements. Also, we will need a safe AI system in order to resolve this task. And that brings us into a lot of challenges that we have to handle. We have there, as mentioned today, also the European AI Act that gives some additional burden on high-risk applications that have to be fulfilled. And we also need high transparency of the AI, because especially in the very conservative railway domain, there we have even higher safety requirements as in the automotive domain. And so we will face also special aspects according to the transparency and trustworthiness of the systems. And we need also new processes and tools in order to build up the systems, to get the assessment, and we get also new aspects into the safety assessment process, like it is the data collection and the data that also has to be quality assured. So I hand it over to Marc.
Thank you, Thomas, for this very nice introduction and the presentation of the different challenges we try to solve in Safe.trAIn and how we do that. So in Safe.trAIn, we work on an integrated development. We want to look first on how we can build up a safe AI-based function for a driverless regional train. We want to research methods, how we can enable the assurance of such an AI-based function in terms especially of safety. And the third aspect is that we want to figure out what are the guidelines and concepts which helps us to enable certification in the railway domain of AI-based systems. And therefore, we have the very unique possibility to really have a real case study here, an object detection system or obstacle detection system for a real regional train, which we will use as an experimentation environment to figure out what are existing methods which we can use for assurance, where we see gaps, where we have to figure out what are new methods, and especially also finding out what are the thresholds then for specific parameters or KPIs, SPIs, however you call it, for such an AI-based obstacle detection system in order to provide guidance for the certification, in order that we are able to qualitatively and quantitatively measure if our system is safe enough to be put on the tracks. Safe.trAIn is operating, I would say, in an ecosystem of a lot of other projects which are currently running or have just been finished. For instance, in the railway domain, there's of course on the European level the Shift2Rail joint undertaking, where we have projects like X2Rail or Tauro, where we can build up on some of the results. There's BERDIBA. BERDIBA is a regional project in Germany in the area of Berlin, which looks on digital twins for autonomous railway operations. And there are also projects called ATO Sense and ATO Risks, which are pretty much focusing on the risk assessment of autonomous train operation and the respective sensor set required for that. And of course, there's also other domains, especially in Germany. There was a large project, what is called KI-Absicherung, so AI validation, roughly translated, which was a very big project in the automotive domain with all I would say major German car manufacturers, tier ones involved, which was just finished this summer, which was also looking or had similar goals as Safe.trAIn for the rail operation, but for automotive, focusing on pedestrian detection. And since this was funded by the same ministry in Germany, we were already put in contact during the proposal phase of Safe.trAIn, and we have the pleasure that we have some of joint partners which have been involved in KI-Absicherung and which are now involved in Safe.trAIn in order to ensure that we have a knowledge transfer from the automotive domain to the railway domain. Focus in this project was pedestrian detection, and I will come to that in a minute, why this is important. What we are planning to achieve with the Safe.trAIn project is, of course, one, it's clear that we want to look how we can build up commercial solutions for automated train operation, driverless train operation, which we can later on as Siemens bring on the market, of course, but also we are very much involved in standardization activities, and one of the big goals of Safe.trAIn, that's why it's also a lighthouse project of the German National Roadmap for AI standardization, is to bring new insights and to contribute to standardization activities in terms of methods, in terms of knowledge, how we can set up a certification process for AI-based system in the railway domain. That's why we have also put together this consortium, as you see here, where we have, of course, the end users, which are Siemens Mobility. Of course, we have a lot of well-known research or very active research organizations in this area involved in the project. We have a lot of SMEs with interesting technologies which enable the development of a safe AI-based systems, but we also have the assessor and the standardization side involved. So we have with VDE and with DIN two the main German standardization bodies involved in the project, and we have 3 different kind of TÜVs involved, which bring in the assessor perspective already in the development and especially also requirements from the assessor side with respect to safety assessment and certification. What we are really looking at, what is our use case? It's obstacle detection on the rolling stock side. This has 2 aspects, as you see here. One is that we are looking on persons on track. So to avoid that we, for instance, collide with any workers which are doing some maintenance works on track side, or with people, especially elderly people or children, which are crossing the tracks. But also we are looking, okay, how can we prevent harm from the passengers inside the train? This means to be able to detect obstacles which are big, like rocks or anything else which could be lying on the tracks. Why we are, to be honest, we are focusing on the persons on track as a first use case. Why we are doing this, as I said, there was a lot of research done in the automotive domain with respect to pedestrian detection, and so we see this as a good field where we can learn a lot from the automotive domain and from existing research in how to detect persons which are on the track. And as a second example, we will then look on obstacles, any kind of obstacles which are laying on the tracks, which is a bigger challenge, to be honest, because there could be any kind of things, big things lying on the tracks, rocks, trees, but there could also be trucks, cars, or anything which has been fallen from a bridge. There are, of course, further aspects related to the obstacle detection. I will not go so much into detail, but we have one big advantage, or we have two big advantages in railway compared to the automotive domain. First of all, we don't have to make a trajectory planning because we can just stop a train, we can slow down a train, or we can honk. So we will not look in the real decision-making process, but focusing on the obstacle detection case. And of course, the second advantage compared to automotive, which we have in railway, is that we have quite a narrow ODD. We know on which tracks we are operating. We have train control systems in place. We don't have to handle or the possible threats that we collide with other trains, because this is handled by train control systems already, so we can purely focusing on the obstacle detection task. How we set up the project, of course, we have standard work packages like project management. We have a work package especially on standardization, a transfer of project results into standardization and dissemination activities. And of course, we have a work package which deals with requirements and also acceptance criteria for AI-based system in the railway domain. But we are focusing on I would say, always say, 3 technical work packages. We will first look in methods to prove the trustworthiness of AI-based system. We are looking on a train architecture, a safe architecture, which embeds an AI-based system in a GOA 4 train. And we have something which we call the virtual VNV platform or virtual test field and the safety assessment. This is due to the fact that we cannot have fleets of trains operating and making test drives. So we have to do a lot of the VNV activities in a simulated software-in-the-loop environment. Looking a little bit into those work packages, so we have, as I said, one on the methods for safety assurance of trustworthy AI-based functions, where we're doing a state-of-the-art analysis. What are the different aspects of safety assurance? What are methods around in literature here? And based on that, we were also looking on what are specific machine learning related insufficiencies, according to SOTIF, which we have to deal in, and what are methods we can use to mitigate or compensate these insufficiencies. For the safe architecture for an AI-based system, we are looking, of course, what are the requirements to build such a system? How can such a train architecture look like? We are also implementing parts which are related to the obstacle detection function of such an architecture, and we are doing the safety assessment. There I can just mention that there's really one big challenge from a requirement side is how to transfer the qualitative requirements in case of what a train driver is currently doing today into really quantitative and measurable requirements for our ML function. And a second big challenge from a safety side, which we are currently dealing with here, is how we can converge a safety argumentation and the safe architecture, which we are trying to build. Work package 4, the virtual VNV platform. There we defined a safe MLOps process for our engineering autonomous regional trains, which brings the system engineering part, the actual ML ops part, together with the safety assurance activities, which we have to fulfill. And we have already specified a simulation-based virtual test field, which we can use with real test data and also synthetically generated test data, to actually test our obstacle detection function in such a virtual environment in order to create evidences for our safety argumentation. And we have created first test scenarios, and set up a tool chain with which we can not only use the existing test data from test drives, which are just a few, but also to be able to synthetically generate test data for any kind of test scenarios which we need to test there. That's it. Thanks a lot for your attention. I hope I've been in time, and if there are any questions, we would be happy to answer them.
While people are thinking of their questions, I start with a question myself. I find it very interesting and very, very close to what we do, of course. But you said you have one use case. But once you will have done all this, don't you think that some of the tools that you develop would be usable for other applications, completely different from that?
I would say yes. So Thomas is from Siemens Mobility side with the clear goal to develop everything around railway operation. We from Siemens side also looking into other domains and looking how we can also reuse some of the parts in other domains. Of course.
So the medical domain, fab automation, and so on. So inside Siemens, we have the possibility to spread this.
There are questions here. So do we have microphones in the room? Or? So, okay, I come.
Thank you for your presentation. Can your train be remotely operated from a control center?
Yes, this in the application design, we think, and it's also a common view in our domain, that the remote train control is the fallback scenario. So in any time the train, when it stops, the remote train driver then connects to the train and then is able to take over control. In general, we have, in opposite to the automotive industry, all the trains are centrally controlled.
Yeah.
So that's a big difference.
Yes, it's the big difference with autonomous road vehicles, and so how does this change the safety requirements and the verification, especially on the onboard artificial intelligence systems?
It doesn't help us so much because we have to take the safe action. So the AI system is in responsibility to detect the objects, the obstacles, and to get the system to the safe state. So there is a rule that's an AI component in the on the train that takes the information from perception and then brings the system in a safe state. That must not be, that has not to be a stop. In the very main domain, the safe state may also be to drive to a next position where you can handle it, but dependent on the circumstances, this component then defines what the safe state is and brings the train in the safe state.
Yes, you was talking about using synthetic images for the VNV for testing, I heard. And can you elaborate a bit more about how you assess representativeness of this test?
Well, the point is that we are here working together with a company which has already done that for automotive scenarios, which was already looked in and was already approved to be somehow similar to real images. But at the end, that's why we have also assessors inside of the project to really judge at the end if some test scenarios which we are handling with, for instance, fully synthetically generated data, if they are equivalent to test drives with real data. But the very big advantage with synthetic data is that we have a lot of scenarios which we cannot easily build in a real environment, like putting children or elderly people on tracks and driving with a test train towards them and approaching them. Yeah? These are specific scenarios which we can only handle in a synthetic environment, which we believe in.
Yes, the hazardous situations are very rare in our domain, and so we will have to drive a lot of kilometers in order to get sufficient test cases out in of these risky situations, and so we have to deal with the simulation for VNV, and that's to bridge there the reality gap is one of the most challenging aspects.
Going back to the first question regarding the fail state and the remote control the operator taking over the train, do you think that basically we transform a problem where we have a human controlling a train to a problem where we have to ensure the safety of the system plus a cybersecurity threat as well? If you add remote control to a train, then you enter a whole lot of mess of cybersecurity threats and all.
So the cybersecurity aspect is also there, but from our point of view, it's compared to the really high challenge of the AI system. It's a reduced one, and but this security threat is also handled together with the typical threats that we have. So we have their special assessment also for the communication and so on. But we think there are the available technologies much better to bridge the existing gap as for the perception system.